Hello and welcome to this next episode in Dr. K's Psychobabble in our series on behavior management. And today what we're going to be looking at is a concept called negative reinforcement. Now I've already covered reinforcement and punishment, and we understand those in the context of operant conditioning. So let's take a look at what we already know about operant conditioning, and that is that this model is based on antecedents, behaviors, and consequences, and that we understand that operant conditioning works because the antecedents operate, or they impact, modify the behaviors. The antecedents modify and operate on, and the consequences operate on them. And what we know so far, having covered reinforcement and punishment, that reinforcers have the impact on the behavior of either increasing or maintaining that behavior. Punishments, on the other hand, have the impact on the behavior of decreasing or eliminating the behavior. However, there are different kinds of reinforcers that impact or operate upon behavior. We have positive reinforcers and we have negative reinforcers. Now we know a positive reinforcer, somebody gets a reward, that increases and maintains behavior. A negative reinforcer increases and maintains behavior. The point here is they're both reinforcers. Reinforcers increase and maintain behavior. Punishment decrease behavior. Whether there's a positive or negative on there, it doesn't matter, because in this context, the positive and negative do not refer to the subjective experience. It's not that the positive reinforcer is joyful and that the negative reinforcer is painful. What it refers to is the mathematical symbols of addition and subtraction. Positive reinforcers add something, negative reinforcers take something away. So we could look at, we have this behavior, and if that behavior is followed by a positive reinforcer, something is added. When it's followed by a negative reinforcer, something is subtracted, something is taken away. And those consequences both increase the behavior that preceded it. So negative reinforcement is a plan that when we utilize negative reinforcement, when the subject performs the behavior, a negative stimulus will be removed. The negative stimulus is present. It's part of the A. It's part of the antecedent. And the plan informs the subject that if they perform a certain behavior, the negative stimulus will go away. So let's look at some really concrete examples here. The first, we all know about the horrid alarm clock. Now, the alarm clock represents a negative reinforcer, and here's how it works in the Abc Contingency Theory. We are in an antecedent state of being in bed and the alarm goes off. So I'm currently in bed, the alarm goes off. If I engage in the behavior of getting up and shutting the alarm off, the annoying alarm stops. It only stops if I get out of bed. So again, the antecedent is I'm in bed and the alarm is going off. If I stay in bed, the annoying sound's going to keep on going. If I get up, which is why I set the alarm in the first place, and shut it off, I've engaged in the behavior to release myself from that annoying sound. So let's take a look at another example of this. People who are in jail. In some circumstances, a person can be in jail, and we're assuming that that's a negative environment, they don't want to be there, and they're under a plan where if they engage in good behavior, they can get out of jail. So that kind of plan used in the criminal justice system is an example of negative reinforcement. And finally, the trash is full and someone's nagging. Probably going to get in trouble for this one. take out the trash, and, well, you know where this is going to go. The nagging stops, right? So that's the kind of scenarios we are looking at. So we can use negative reinforcement as a way of getting a child or another person to do something in order to escape a negative situation that they're in. So imagine you have kids eating. And if you've had any kids, you know sometimes they just don't want to eat. And so we sort of use a little bit of negative reinforcement. They want to get away from the table. And we'll say, okay, 2 more bites, or a bite of each thing, or like 3 more green beans, or whatever. And we'll say, that's your behavior. And as soon as you do that, you'll be able to get away from the table. You don't have to be in this negative experience anymore. So that's a small way in which we use the concept of negative reinforcement. So that's specifically what negative reinforcement is about. What I really want to get the point of is that positive and negative that we see in front of reinforcer doesn't have to do with the subjective experience. It has to do with the mathematical symbol. So positive adds, negative is the taking away. So I hope you enjoyed this particular episode, and I'll see you next time.